They say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So, picture this. 1. A deep cobalt blue lake surrounded by a carpet of green all along its edges, which slowly then goes and kisses the feet of rising brown mountains rising high up to the majestic azure blue sky. It's continuum from blue to green to brown to blue. Or, second picture, that you are in a chopper gliding through wave upon wave of fine brown soft sand dunes, ever moving as the wind caresses their heads, and into the horizon you see a glittering golden castle shining in the morning sun. Or third picture, that you are glissading slowly in a houseboat through the various green backwater lanes with coconut trees lined up on either sides of the river, and as long as you can see are the fields of paddy shining green and silver with the water inside them. Or take another picture. You seated in a comfortable 4x4. You see through your windscreen enormous huge green mountains rising as high as 5,000 feet on both of your sides of the road. Their tops dripping melting snow into clear silver cascades and waterfalls. All these and many, many more such visuals lie bundled into India across its length and breadth. Apart from its heritage, culture, spiritualism, hospitality, and food, India is home to some of this world's most stunning landscapes, blessed with mountains like the Himalayas and the Karakorams, with the sea and the ocean along its three sides, and jungles of all kinds. Perhaps that's why 18 million tourists arrive in India annually, more than that of Switzerland, Singapore, and many, many other countries.
Welcome to Travel Jaunts podcast by two traveling Indians, Hooma and Sudiip. And in today's podcast, we will explore India's amazing landscapes in far more detail. So, Sudeep, you showed us 4 pictures at the start of this podcast. What were those?
The first one, the deep blue cobalt lake, actually it's the Pangong Lake high up north in India, actually in Ladakh, bordering the India-China border. Uh, a bulk of it is in Chinese territory, but a small portion is also in the Indian territory, and it's amazingly beautiful. Uh, so much so that we are currently fighting the Chinese along that border. The second picture, sand dunes. Oh, those are those brilliant sand dunes in the city of Jaisalmer to the west of India. It has what's called the Golden Castle, made out of sandstones as well as lime mortar of sand, and it's just amazing to look at. The third picture, when you are going through the backwater channels, green all around, that's something deep in India's south, around a lake called Lake Vembanad in Kerala, where there's a amazing experience of staying in a houseboat and just going through one backwater lake or the other and spend couple of days. The last picture of that 4x4 driving into Tawang, that's actually what I said, Tawang, again to the extreme east of India, in a place called Arunachal Pradesh, which means the land of the rising sun in Indian, and it also borders the China Tibet border, and so much so that India's first brush with Chinese in a war happened there. But leave that aside, beautiful high eastern Himalayas, extremely good looking and whatnot. And I haven't actually even covered what other types of landscapes are there to see. Such is what India has.
That is the point. In such a large country, there would be a lot of choices and options. Sudeep, to make it easier for our listeners, what routes or circuits would you recommend them for an immersive experience in India?
Okay, so let me take you literally to all parts of India and cherry pick 6 best circuits, depending on how much time, budget, and India you have in mind. You can mix and match these to suit yourself. To the north, I would say get started and in the territory of Ladakh, land at the capital Leh, and from there move on to various parts of that Union territory. Go to the stunning Buddhist monasteries of Lama Yoru and Alchi. Then from Leh, cross the highest Indian pass that we have in Khardungla and go towards the Bactrian desert-like landscapes of Nubra and Hundar. From there, you can also go down to what I said earlier, the stunning Pangong Lake, and stay over there at 14,000 feet of height. And even more, you can go to the other lakes like Moririso and many more. All across, you will see stunning brown mountainscape of Karakorums, clear blue streams and amazing blue lakes, mountains uh, and passes on high hills, and depending on the season that you take, could be a lot of snow or could be a lot of water that flows through from the mountains into the valleys. That's up north for you. Let's go down south. Uh, Go to this old Portuguese city of Cochin, land there, and then you go to the tea gardens of Munnar. Spectacular greenery, amazing landscape and roads. From Munnar, you go down to the backwater retreat town of Kumarakom. Very nice and comfortable properties overlooking lakes which merge the oceans into the backwaters. From Kumarakom, you go to Alleppey, which is called actually the houseboat capital of India, for maybe a couple of days stay on a houseboat. And then you come back to Cochin again. Cochin is by the sea, has got a lot of places to see and beaches, but it also has some amazing and one of India's best waterfall in Atirapalli waterfall.
It's nearby.
Yeah, it's nearby. So that's south for you. From south, let's move to east. And one goes down high up into the Bengal state, go to Siliguri, land there, and then go through 4 hours of stunning mountain drive to go to Gangtok, which used to be the capital. It's still the capital, but capital of the erstwhile kingdom of Sikkim. And from Gangtok, you go to Nathula, which is currently the Chinese border, but again a very high point and a high pass. Thereafter, from there, you go further up towards Tibet, places like Lachen, which has one of those frozen high altitude lakes called Gurudong Mar, or you go towards Lachung and what's called the Valley of Flowers, a valley called Yumthang, where you see and breathe pure clean air, frozen lakes, frozen waterfalls, and stunning landscape of mountains, which is like pure pristine Himalayas. That's east for you. Let's go west, which is where we see deserts and sand and majestic forts and palaces. You get to Jaipur, which is perhaps the capital of regal and royalty in India, and see their uh, palaces and forts constructed on those brown hills of Aravali. Go to Jodhpur, you will see impressive forts and palaces, just awesome. And then you get down to the golden city of Jaisalmer, as I said, among sand dunes, the golden castle, a beautiful place, lots of good food. Get back to Jodhpur, that's a circuit, all J's in a way, Jaipur, Jodhpur, Jaisalmer, but a brilliant place. And while these are the four corners of India, I can suggest two more. There is one more which is, call it extreme far east or call it off the beaten track. A lot less tourists go there, but that's a land of high mountain passes. The hugeness of eastern Himalayas is right in front of you and makes you so humble. Place full of jungles of rhododendrons blooming in red and purple and whatever you want. And that's you start from Guwahati in Assam and go drive up into various parts of Arunachal. Start from the border of Bhalukpong, huge rivers flowing, good amount of water. From there you start going up to a mountain time of Derang, very small but very beautiful,
Valley.
beautiful. And then you go down to Tawang, as I said above, and which has I think, the largest monastery in India, and I think the largest after the Potala that we have in Tibet. From Tawang, go down to a small place called Zimithang. Amazing valley, great drive, waterfalls, monasteries. You know what?
Hardly any houses there.
Hardly any houses there. It's just
I
so pristine.
remember.
And then go to other high passes like Bomlak, Sela Pass. These are all historical as well. Lots of fighting happened with Chinese there. And you get back to Guwahati. That's your fifth one. And if I may suggest a
Yeah.
sixth one, well, India is not just mountains and rivers, we have islands. And I would take you to the majestic island of Havelock, down to the east in a chain of islands called Andaman and Nicobar Islands. You get down at Port Blair, and while you're at Port Blair, and Port Blair used to be the administrative capital, you have lots of things to see there. But from there, get to Havelock, an island to die for. Extreme pure white sand beaches. I just love the Radhanagar beach there. I think one of the best beaches. I think the best beach in India by far. Best white sands, azure blue sea water, envious green tree-lined beaches, and not just one beach. It's Radhanagar is one, Vijayanagar. You go to Elephant Island Beach, and lots of water sports and stunning landscapes. So, Homa, if I had to pick six, I think I have given a good description of what could lie across the country. And as I said, perhaps these also are
Just a few.
just some of many that we have in this country.
This sounds very exciting.
It is.
I know you have done all the six, and we have done all the six. Any favorite amongst these?
How I couldn't keep my mouth shut because of the awe of beauty we saw in Tawang. Remember
Yeah.
at Zimithang when it started snowing, and we're like, wow, the entire scenery changed at Zimithang, those drives and rhododendrons, and at Sela Pass, such windy but beautiful place. So I would say that's one that I really like. And I'd add that I'll any day go to Havelock and Radhanagar Beach. What a lovely piece of heaven that was. We went back there twice in 2 days, right? Changing on itinerary. So those are like really good ones. And Homa, if I may add, as I said, there still are more to dip into. If one has more time in India or have done the ones I have mentioned here, I will also recommend some additional circuits. Which are those? First, call it the Malnad Coastal Drive, but it's down south to the coast that we have on the west, which is outlined by the UNESCO Heritage Western Ghats of India. Very beautiful jungles. There is a coastal drive from the town of Bangalore going to Udupi, Murdeshwar, Gokarna, Karwar into south of Goa called Palalem. Amazing drive. It's probably equivalent to India's answer of the Great Ocean Road that you have in Melbourne. So that's one. Second would be, I'll call it essential Himalayas. We have shown you Himalayas of Gangtok, and we've shown Himalayas of eastern India of Tawang, but right in smack middle of Himalayas would be a section that you go from Delhi, get into stations like Kat Godam, and then drive down through Haldwani into the hill stations of
Almora region.
Nainital, Almora, Binsar, and thereafter Munsiari. You will see pristine Himalayan mountains and very famous peaks which are known in that region. The third one, and I think many of you might be waiting to listen to as to why I have not made a mention of this, is the place which is called Heaven on Earth, Kashmir and the Kashmir Valley. Kashmir sometimes is volatile, but it's a great place to be. And across the last 2 years, we have seen a lot of influx of tourists back in. So, go to the beautiful city of Srinagar with its amazing lakes, a right backdrop of the Zarawan mountains around it, as well as stunning Mughal architecture and gardens. From there to the various meadows of Sonmarg or Gulmarg or Kiranmarg, where depending on when you go, you'll find yourself with amazing amount of snow sports in skiing in Gulmarg to maybe walking across and trekking in Sonmarg, right? Trekking.
Trekking
Kashmir
is
is a trekker's paradise, and so that region. And if you see further up in Pahalgam, always there's something or other to do. That's my third recommendation, and one more which perhaps is very rare across the earth is the salt plains of what I call the Run to the west of India in Gujarat, People might have heard of the salt plains of Bolivia, but this is India's equivalent of it. Again, you get down to Ahmedabad, drive to a place called Bhuj, and from there you get to run. It's for miles and miles across that you see white sand, salt. Actually, it's white salt, not white
Yeah.
sand. Salt across, and on moonlit days, it just looks beautiful and serene. You can
Go
you can
around the Bhuj festival.
Yes, you
That's
can
when.
you can club it with a visit to Patan, which is known for its intricate architecture of days gone by as you come back to Ahmedabad. So Huma, as I said, and I couldn't stop myself. I think there are these four additional ones that one could look at if one has time.
Great. So, Sudeep, now let's get to our Cut the Clutter section where we tell our listeners the basic FAQs like when to travel, how to travel, what to eat, and many other questions.
Sure, let's roll it out as detailed as we can. When to travel to India? The first question. Most of India is a very good bet to travel between October and March. Climate and temperatures are very nice. It's though although the high season of tourism and it could be slightly more expensive. Though India in general is extremely good value for money. But with high season come more crowds than usual. Specifically for what I've said above, if you look at planning a travel, then here it is. If you are looking at going to Leh Ladakh, June, July are the best months. If you are planning a trip down south, then between October to April, you can plan anytime. If it is the east, which I talked about, Gangtok and that section, I think April, May, June is a good time to go travel there. If it is the west, the three J's of Jaipur, Jodhpur, and Jaisalmer, then again between October and February, go when it's cool. If it's the far east Himalayas of Tawang, then again April to June makes very good sense. If it is Andaman that you're looking for, then I'll again say October to February makes the most sense of going there. You'll find perfectly good weather and time. Specifically, the other four, like the run that I spoke about, again October to Feb. December perhaps being best because December also has what's called the Run Festival, where we have a huge camped tented city in the middle of the run, which is what is a great draw. If it is the central Himalayas of Nainital, Almora, Binsar that I spoke about, then again October to May, great time. You can go any month. If it is the coastal drive of Malnad that I spoke about from Bangalore to South Goa, again October to Feb, very good time. And lastly, if you are looking at Kashmir, then because of how monsoons go, April to August makes a damn good time for Kashmir. April could be snow season. As you go further, snow melts into perfectly clear stream of water.
Yeah, so even people can take shoulder seasons like instead of October,
Yes.
September end would also be fine in many
Yes, absolutely,
places.
absolutely.
And
The shoulder this
secondly,
side of September is nice, and shoulder that side, which is like March, April, is good.
That
It's
also
not a bad time.
and people can also check the festivals being held in all these places. If the,
Yeah.
it would make sense to club it, provided you have interest in
Absolutely.
attending
Like the
those.
run has a festival in December, similarly, Leh has a Hemis festival. I think it's sometime in August. So
Yeah.
one should look at these before
Jaisalmer
you
has
before
I think literature festival
that's in
happens.
Jaipur. But
Jaipur,
yeah, so
sorry,
everywhere we have something or the other which makes the place
Oh,
extra
desert.
special.
Desert festival happens in Jaisalmer.
Right.
I remember that.
That's on when to travel. Now, how to travel? I would say the best thing is to take a flight into the starting location of each circuit. For example, take a flight to Leh or to Cochin or to Siliguri. Barring Leh and Andaman, Port Blair, others are also well connected by trains across the country as well as by good roads across the country with both public transportation as well as private vehicles widely available. Though it is most advisable from a travel comfort perspective that you land into the starting location of each circuit and then hire a private vehicle and cover the circuit by road. The way these circuits are, I think it's a good mix of driving for a couple of hours every day, and you can drive such that you can enjoy the entire day going around and taking a look at the places. This provides you the most flexibility as well as time spent every day on sightseeing. Our itinerary that we have designed is such that you start each day as fresh as you need for taking in these visuals, and hence that's what I would advise. Specifically for Andamans and barring Port Blair, other islands are really small and can be covered on foot or hired bike, so there's no need for booking anything else. Just land there, and that's probably all. You will get taken care of.
Yeah, between the islands you go by ferries,
Ferries.
and once you're in the island you don't need anything.
Yeah. That is how to travel. Now let's talk about where to stay and you know how to go about booking that. So my standard answer is that India in any part of the country has a huge spectrum of places to book, from hostels to budget uh, hotels to nice upswing business hotels to amazing resorts and even uber luxurious resorts, and they are plenty. So depending on what your budget is, one could choose from one or the other. My suggestion is that once you have zeroed down on what you want to cover, and for the itineraries I have just mentioned in today's session, normally 7 day 8 night kind of an itinerary is good across all of these. So what I'm saying is that once you have figured out what you want to go and cover and what your budget is, tell your travel operator and let them pick and choose and create your itinerary in terms of where do you start, where do you stay, where you end, and evaluate those options. They would probably give you the best possible immersive experience by their planning and their bookings. I would say one thing: if you are in for landscapes, you should go the extra mile and perhaps not stay put in your accommodation in a city because you are looking for landscapes. So if you get the extra edge about a hotel on a cliff or a cabin somewhere down the river where you have beautiful views and clear blue skies, I think one should take that extra
Yeah,
step and go do that.
I agree that especially for landscape tours where people come to see the scenery and enjoy nature, people should not necessarily stay in within the cities or near the bazaars. They can always stay a little
Yeah,
away from the main city and enjoy the views and nice places.
absolutely. For example, if you are going to the Leh circuit, one could stay in the thousands of hotels that we have in Leh city, but one could also travel 30 kilometers out to the Hemis monastery and stay there, where you get a bird's eye view of a lot of places around it, as well as a good experience of staying in a monastery and seeing how the life is. Right. So that would be, in short, what I would say where to stay and how to go about doing it. And that's my suggestion. For travelers into India, you might have a question about visa. So normally on the Indian government website, online e-visa is available for as many as 156 countries. It takes a lot less effort, and it's normally a 4 month long multiple entry visa that people get. So India is absolutely open and welcome to everybody. Lastly, what to eat? It's a and what to drink. Drink bottled water in India, and to eat depending on what your stomach takes. India is a land of food, and every place has something or the other which is really its specialty. For example, if you are in Srinagar and if you're not having their mutton rogan josh or their wazwans, which are their specialty dishes, you would be missing out on something. So as you plan your trip, ask your travel operator for specialties of the region or ask us, and we can tell you if you are in a particular place what should you not miss to eat. So Homa, here is it. I think I've
Yeah,
covered when
I
to travel.
agree that food is an integral part of traveling in India, and we are going to talk about it soon.
Oh yeah, we are going to come back and talk to you especially about food and places to eat the best food in India, and that's going to be a separate podcast. So till then, I would say keep tuned in, listen to our podcasts, and let us know what you think. Give us a shout, talk to us, call us, and we'll be happy to help you plan your next trip.
You've been listening to Travel Jaunts podcast. This is Hooma, and our episode was produced by me and Sudeep. We'll be back next week with a new episode on top India food tours in the current series of India Travel. Thank you for listening. To get your weekly updates, please do like, share, and subscribe to Travel Jaunts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or from wherever you get your podcast from. It'll help us keep coming back with interesting stories and destination insights. Ciao.